Hello, everyone. I know it's yet another AI panel, but thanks a lot for making it. I think nobody starts or ends a conversation without talking about AI, especially in the last couple of years. And even my parents, when they talk to me, the key conversation we have is about AI and ChatGPT. It has become so pervasive, but like it was shared earlier, the question we are trying to answer here is a lot more fundamental. And we have here a panel of experts who are going to help us decode it one question at a time. And I would like to start with a more foundational question about where are we right now. In the last couple of years, we have seen one breakthrough model after another, starting with DeepSeek in early Jan, and more recently, ChatGPT 5. And under India AI mission, we are just trying to build our own models with Sarvam, Bharat GPT, and few others are trying to build our own foundation models. But I am trying to understand, where are we? Are we too late? Because there is a lot of narrative around we don't even need to build our GPT models now. So I would like to start with Sandeep, if you can.
Awesome. First of all, thanks for having us today. So quickly, if you look at where is AI today, my reflection is AI is a generalist, and it can see, hear, speak, reason, remember, plan, and execute. No less than a human persona. But the point is, look, I'm a Kannadiga, I live in Bangalore. Does AI think like me is the bigger question? Because I think different, being a South Indian. Now, what we largely have is generalists. The next big leap is to make them specialists and also make them aligned to human value system. That's the gap I see right now. Of course, we see language models, mushroom every single day. But the bigger question is human alignment. A lot of work to be done there. That's my take on where AI is. Human persona equivalent for sure, but still a long way to go.
And Ankush, I know you're building your own GPT. So Bharat GPT, I mean, what is your take on this question about do we need and where are we? Because there are multiple concerns that we are pretty late. We don't even need to build it. What is your take as someone who's building a model?
Yeah, so thanks. I think what is the need to build the technology and all that, I think that should be probably the second question. The first is, to begin with the end in mind. So what do we want to achieve? What's the purpose? If to achieve the purpose, we have to build, we should. If not, we should not say it's not mine and I will not use it to achieve my purpose. If I have to solve my purpose now, whatever it takes, right? Whether someone is giving me free or giving me even at cost, but it's already ready. I can achieve my purpose faster, then why not, right? So whether we should build, of course we need to build, that's why we are building. So now, why do we have FOMO? Do we have to say, no, the other country has done, we have to do? Probably, definitely not. So we have taken birth to do what, right? To become founder, to become probably technologist, or to become the writer. No, right? We just took birth probably to just live life. We just have to see how do we make this life easier. I would not say even meaningful, right? Just and what do we need to live this life? Roti, kapda, makan, and then probably few fancy things like travel, that has become the necessity. The education has also become the necessity. Maybe the healthcare and all that. So I think again the purpose, to begin with the end in mind. So what purpose, what problem you want to solve? And then if any of the existing LLMs or any technology are not helping you, then you build. And we have a very clear purpose. We know what we have to do. And for that, there is no technology available. Whether they give free or give at $3.99, it's not going to solve the purpose which we are trying to live our life for.
One of the biggest challenges when building the LLM is the research. I think Devayan and Shalini know more about it. Unlike the US or China, which has a strong academic research, which are doing a lot of work on the foundational AI research, we don't have such ecosystem in India. Do you see that impeding, in many ways, building our own model? Devayan, as someone from IIC, if you can just take this first.
Thank you. Yeah. So if you want to build a new technology, since I am building a new technology, I kind of understand the challenges. The fundamental problem is always people and money, right? So for AI, if you look at before it became commercialized, It was done by a group of 30 or 40 people who were all either researchers or someone linked to someone like Geoffrey Hinton and his PhD students. And they are the ones who came up with all the algorithms that we talk about so much right now. So, and then you see people like Demis and all of these people who have formed DeepMind, and they were solving AlphaGo and all of this. So what I think India really needs to replicate, not just AI, like anything which is a new technology, India needs something like a Bell Labs. So India needs to create its own Bell Labs, India needs to create its own DeepMind, and the way to do it would be to have a lot of smart people under a company, I don't know, under a company, or give them their own freedom, give them enough money, tell them that, look, this is a problem that I want to solve. Like for Google, it would probably be something like computer vision. I want this problem to be solved. Here is enough money, go and figure out how to do this. And all the offshoots that will come from it, all the really crazy sidelined ideas that would come from it would create your next really mind-blowing technology. You cannot engineer neural networks to be developed just because I wish them to be. Yeah.
And Shalini.
So I think, and thanks for bringing that up. So India's GDP in research today is 0.69%. 0.69% of our GDP gets into research, and that research is mostly agriculture research, which happens in our ICARs and also DRDOs, defense, etc. We don't have any research budget that we have done for AI in the last few years, and how can we expect suddenly, that we are innovating and we have a model? So it's about what we have invested in and what we gave importance to, and that's where we are today. Now, if we see today, definitely the government has woken up to that, and they have started also this Anusandhan National Research Foundation, which is allocating a lot of, and there's a budget which has been put together by the Prime Minister, where there's good amount of money which has been given to cross-functional research, also in AI, but across, like, AI, suppose you want to put it into genomics, for example, or some of the other sectors. And there is a good amount of research which is now getting allocated from METI to AI. But what is needed is actually the academia, the research, the industry, the investors, all to come together in a mission mode. If the mission mode doesn't happen, and that can happen only when the research, see that there is a whole TRL cycle which moves. That the TRL cycle comes from NASA actually, where you incubate a technology. There is a good amount of time you have to spend in engineering before it actually becomes a product which can get into the market. So it's a long gestation cycle. With AI, of course, it is much faster now. And the interventions, the tools, the technology which is available. But to develop AI itself, it's very important that we do it in a mission mode. So what we have also done is, and one example that we have done is that at XStep, we have partnered with some of the top institutes like IIT Bombay, IIT Jodhpur, IIT Hyderabad, Ashoka, IIT Sri City, and we are funding research fellows who will work, and they could be PhDs, they are postdocs, they are masters, they are even undergrads who are getting together, and we give them research problems and attach it to large-scale problems that XStep has been working on. XStep has been working on education, healthcare, agriculture, and data and AI, because as you know, XStep is Nandan and Rohini's philanthropy, which is actually creating a lot of large and solving a lot of large-scale problems in India. So if a large-scale problem and of education and healthcare is attached to an AI researcher, there could be some new things which will emerge. They could be, because up till now the researchers are focused only on doing incremental research in some of the things which actually are getting them good papers in the Western world, papers and conferences. But we can make research happen on the large data sets which are available in India with people in the sectors which are relevant to us, and going back to Ankur's problem, that's the purpose. That's the purpose, that our social innovation and social problems that we have in the country, they need research. You need to have an LLM say to solve the healthcare problems that we have for our country, and education that we have. So that's the map that we have to create. But research has to be funded. If the research is not funded, then you cannot make it follow a cycle and have products early enough.
On that topic, right, research isn't the only problem in developing our own models. The biggest challenge is also data. We don't just have enough data to train our own indic models. I think Vikram, to a large extent, is working in the translation space, creating audiobooks. Do you think, you do work with, can you tell us about, do you work with players to help them with the data sets, and how are companies navigating this challenge?
Thanks, Swati. Before I get to the answer of that, I think when we're talking of OpenAI or Anthropic, which train themselves on massive amounts of English, data sets, or the Chinese models, which train on Mandarin, if we are competing with them, I think we risk the case of a perpetual catch-up with them. We will not be able to do that. And I think India is very uniquely positioned to have a category leadership in this space for two principal reasons, which we otherwise normally see as our problems, which is our linguistic diversity. Sandeep mentioned, how he thinks as a South Indian, as a Kannadiga. So we are 22 official Indian languages, thousands of dialects, very, very rich oral and performative traditions in this country. And at the same time, our burgeoning population, which also in this case offers a very lucrative market. So we at Nav AI, which I've co-founded with Sandeep Singh, who's in the audience, we are a B2B solution which tries to address this very problem, where we look at scaling faster and more accurate translations from English to Indian languages, and also from Indian languages to foreign languages, to bring India's story out. These are long-form content we're looking at. It could be blogs, it could be websites, full-length books, also the non-music audio content, audiobooks and so on, which we're trying to build to scale. Now, and to do this, we realize it has to be culturally sensitive. It has to be, the linguistic nuances need to be captured very well, right? So, while Claude and other models give us, say, 60–70% accuracy, we are now moving towards several foundational LLM models which are being built in India. So we are taking on a multi-model agentic workflow in our process. We have deeply integrated with Sarvam AI, which is probably on its way to becoming a kind of a sovereign AI model for India. And also other specific Indian language LLMs, whether it's Kritrim or Tamil Lama for Tamil, or there's a project Indus for Hindi and its dialects. So these dialects and how the differences of language are, that also need to be captured. Now, with the spread of internet and the mobile telephony, there's a very interesting statistic that 98% of Indian online internet users, whether they are in urban centers or rural centers, educated or not so educated, they prefer to consume content in Indian languages. But the supply is simply not able to meet that demand, and that is where I think interventions like this would help. And normally, any Indian would be familiar and fairly comfortable with 2 to 3 languages, English, Hindi, maybe 1 or 2 regional languages. So any model that mirrors this kind of a code switch and a cultural context, I think that would feel a lot more native than any Claudes or GPTs of the world can ever seek to. And I think that is where is India's unique position. Can we be a rule maker in AI for the future? Or are we just going to be back-end consumers for Western and Chinese markets? I think India is, if this model actually succeeds of a multicultural, multilingual solutions, India, I think, is very uniquely positioned to become the global leader for polyglot societies. It could be the Middle East, it could be Southeast Asia, it could be Africa, and so on. We're literally the leader of the global South, rather than be a blind follower of either the US or China. And for that, of course, I mirror the sentiments of all the other panelists that money, research, government support, just as China invests so deeply in DeepSeek, that is very much essential.
Another building block is infrastructure. Without the compute, you cannot train your models. And in India, what we have seen in the last couple of years is that the data center market is literally exploding, and all the big tech companies are setting up data centers. So, Sandeep, I would like to come to you in this. So, how do you think we can solve? I know the government, for its part, they are, under the India AI mission, they are distributing the compute. But do you think, with big players investing a lot more in data centers, do you think some kind of a partnership could happen? How can players like you, be a part of this?
Yeah. See, if you look at how the industry is evolving right now, more data, more compute, the bigger the neural network. That's what is elevating intelligence. At some point, that has to change. Of course, what we saw with DeepSeek in terms of few algorithmic innovations led to model distillation. Those techniques kind of came to the fore. My view is the geodiversity or diversity of models being available across every country is given. Going back, because you want data to be, within your premise, within your country, and regulatory alignment, democratic inputs have to be acknowledged. All the stuff is primarily given. So hence, I think data center expansion will continue for sure. Because today, if you look at an enterprise, we spoke about the problem of linguistic divide that we have today. If you literally have to make sure these models align to the ethical values of, let's say, a South Indian, for that matter, that's a hard problem to solve, because one is data. Like, for example, in India, if you look at, there's a firm called Karya, that's a social impact organizations, though they ethically collect data. Now today, can that become input for these language models, which are highly steerable? And there has to be algorithmic innovation there to ensure that, this delta input is coming in. By the way, I'm very proficient in English and Hindi also, but can I speak in Tamil, Telugu with little bit of nuances? The answer is yes, for sure, but data is number one. Number two, of course, infrastructure required to basically make sure that you've optimized these models. I mean, there's no going back on that. Of course, if you look at Jeffrey Hinton was rewarded just for that purpose, honestly, in terms of that brain that he literally put on a tarmac, which basically has become blueprint for innovations to happen. I think with more models germinating, mushrooming each passing day, the ask of can it be available to me where I am today is a bigger ask. The only solution right now, as we foresee, is infrastructure play right now. It's massive. And one last thing from my end, if you look at enterprises, I think for them to literally innovate, they have to literally procure, safeguard the infrastructure, despite the fact that they are using hyperscaler. In the hyperscaler environment, can I just use these as dedicated for myself for the next foreseeable future? That's become foundation for them to innovate from there on.
I think, Ankush, this is one of the huge challenges when you are building, right? How are you navigating this, getting the infrastructure challenge, the access to GPUs?
I don't think infra is a challenge. I know many people now have GPUs, and I'm not sure if it's even 50% allocated. Cost, yes, they have to recover the huge capital cost. That's why it's costly. But there are cheaper ways also. But again, I will switch back to the purpose. If you're really solving the right problem, people are ready to partner with you. They're ready to give you, how many servers you need, 1,000, you take it for a week, take it for a month. So all those problems would be solved. We should even have money to solve it, provided we are actually solving some real problem, right? To first articulate the problem which you're going to solve and take a step, show the capability, and do MVP, MCP or whatever, and launch a bit and show some early traction, see the people at large are getting benefited, maybe the critical mass. Everything rest all would follow. Investors would come in, infra would come in. It's already there, as I said. It's my conviction, not even 50%. I would not be wrong saying even 20% is not being allocated. Go request them, they'll give you. So we should really work on the meaningful stuff. I know a lot of models, even we keep launching and fine-tuning it and all that. And when we are really solving, if you have to say, hey, I have to create a large language model for what? See, we launched large language model, fine-tuned on other models. But when we really had to spend money and create some model, we launched mini model. And we created the model and launched at scale, and people are happy. So again, so if we have the right purpose, I think I would like to believe. So currently, whatever money we asked, we got it. So I know people are ready to give more money. I'm not asking for it. So I'll be able to ask only when I have the conviction and believe and prove to myself I'm able to take a step forward to solve a bigger problem. I'm sure the money would come and infra would come. So everything is within me or within us, the limitations or any limitation, whether it's infra, money, everything is within us. And if we show the leadership, people would join hands.
Can I just add, I think he brought an interesting point in terms of mini models. I'll tell you what, right now the massive cost, inferencing costs in the cloud. Now, of course, the philosophy is train in the cloud, optimize in the cloud, deploy to edge. I think the most underrated innovation today is small language models. Even in the enterprise space, when I ask, I think the usage is minuscule. So going forward, as innovators, if you want to capsule intelligence in a miniature form, of course, it will not have a world's knowledge. That's probably the future, right? That way, inferencing cost comes down dramatically. It can be the most economical solution that you can offer going forward. So I think the power of SLM has to be leveraged, still underutilized as we speak. I've not seen anybody reap benefits to a greater extent. I'd say, if you look at physics wall as an example, if they're trying to solve every student having access to education as a tutor, I think SLM is the future. That means ability for, imagine the future where ChatGPT running on your phone in airplane mode 24/7. That's the future.
I can just add, absolutely. If you see someone launching the large language, said, hey, this large language model is better than all the PhDs of all the streams putting together. And how many times it happens we go to PhD. I respect all PhDs, of course I work with the PhD guys. But to solve sometimes simple problem, you don't go to even one PhD. Now you're saying there is one model which is better than all the PhDs of all the streams putting together, and so much hallucination would happen anyways, right? So that's so adding on to what Sandeep, SLM is very, very powerful, but we don't take that approach because it's difficult, because now you're solving very narrow problem, focused problem. It's easy to say I have a large language model, go ask any question and some answer will give. It's easy, anyone can just launch tomorrow. But if you have to say, hey, now I have a small model, but it would not hallucinate. It would actually precisely solve your problem. It's difficult to achieve that accuracy, right? So solving smaller problems is difficult. That's why people don't get into that, I think. So if you do that, then structured programming we started with, if you have multiple small language model, and maybe the mixture of experts, even if you have the aggregation of small language model, I think bottom-up approach could be one solution which India or Bharat can take.
But what about monetization? Because you're building a model, that is okay. But monetizing is one of the biggest challenges any company is facing. The one that has come in the last couple of years with the 11 Labs and OpenAI. I mean, ChatGPT Go is just $3.99, and Airtel has partnered with Perplexity, basically giving a lot of things for free. So where do Indian companies stand? Because the cost, at the end of the day, India is a very cost-sensitive market. So where does it play? So can Indian companies really monetize? Because existing companies, not many have been able to do that. Anybody who, yeah, Vikram, yes.
I think that's a GTM challenge that a lot of us face. We at Nav AI also suffer with some of this. And for that, the repositioning is we are not just another LLM or an LLM service provider, application layer. But we are fundamentally, I think there's a deep integration within the existing workflows. I think in an earlier session, there was discussion of how difficult it will be without the existence of our integration into the process flows. That is what we are trying to attempt. Especially, and since it comes with the creative industry, we are dealing with the creative industry, whether it's content creators or publishers. They're always apprehensive. Is a machine now going to write my content? These are very, real apprehensions and doubts that people come up with. So as a published author myself, and our team understands the nuances of that industry, I think that gives a differentiation where you understand the specific pain points and, the problems, and you build customized solutions to address that. The other important differentiator should be the data sovereignty and I think IP protection as well. Are we deploying the data sets within Indian data centers, or is it getting absorbed into Chinese or American models, unwittingly or otherwise? And that stands with the larger Indian goal too of having data localization for technology. So I think these become important differentiators, which would then help a company to monetize. And I can speak of that from our company as a case study.
We are running out of time, but as a closing comment, the LLM race, the AI arms race is still going at a breakneck pace, and we are seeing one breakthroughs after another. At this juncture, what do you think our priorities would be? Debayan, if you can start with, what do you think should be our priorities and the key milestones that we need to look for?
So you're asking about the priorities that we should set?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. So I don't know how to answer this, but I think I would propose a thought experiment that you can probably do. So imagine, so someone like me or some researchers who have made, let's say a small language model or some language model which works. And this is 2017, no one knows about AI. And you now ask, I want to create something like OpenAI. Who do you go to? Do you go to the government to ask for money? Do you go to venture capitals to ask for money? Because I need to scale up. I don't know whether I need GPUs or not. I don't know whether CPUs are enough, or I don't know if so TPUs are something that we should worry about. At this juncture, who should I approach to scale it up and go to market? And I think everyone will have a different answer to this. I have, of course, my own answers to this, but all those answers actually point out to some problems in the ecosystem, at least in Indian ecosystem. And if we can even make a small dent in those ecosystems, in those problems, I think we will see more output like this coming out from India. And I agree actually with what she was saying, is that a lot of students from Indian academia actually just publishes papers, and they are looking at it as a gateway to go abroad or something. How do we get these people to stay back in India and actually build? So let's not stop the technology right at the lab scale. Let's take it from lab to the world. I think there are a lot of problems in doing those, but I mean, if everyone asks themselves and try to figure out some aspect of it, I think that will solve this problem in a major way.
Shalini.
Yeah. So I think our priority should be, what is the strength of India? The strength of India is people. The strength of India is the use cases that we can proliferate and we can bring in forward. If you see all the big tech is actually bringing up protocols. We have seen model context protocol come up. We have seen agent to agent being launched, and there's a lot of buzz around it. Every morning you wake up and there is new things which have been created. Who has adopted MCP? Who's adopted A2A? Where is it going? Why is that happening? It is happening simply because most of the large LLMs, they've anyway scraped all the internet data. They've done it, and now they're hungry for more. They have already put in, and the Western world has put in a lot of money on compute. They have a lot of, and the data beyond what they have already put in is all going to be by citizens, say, of India. We are data emitters. We are data consumers. But we consume data only after, it comes back from in a different manner. But we are big data emitters. So if you are data emitters, that means the data is all with us. The data sets is what we need to create, which are relevant to us. Now, again, think about a tier 3 city manufacturer. And we have done this pilots. We did a pilot in Nagpur, in Mysore, in Dharwad, where we understood that what does a manufacturer need today to be able to sell more or have the aspiration. So today, their aspirations are, they are a 1 crore manufacturer. They want to become like 10 crores. They want access to markets. They want better compliance. They want better subsidies. All the subsidies, all the compliances are available today by the government. And what they're doing is they're using ChatGPT to find it out, that which is the scheme which applies to me. And they're getting absolutely useless answers. It's not helping them at all. So think about the opportunity that we have of creating data sets of all the PLI schemes, the subsidies, you know, if it is a biotech sector, all the subsidies that can be given to them, and create that model for them with the data sets which are relevant for India, with, say, cultural, within the language which was talking about, maybe voice bot enabled, so that that person doesn't have to type that big prompt that we are writing right now. And the prompt is, like, you know, not as complex, because there's a whole prompt engineering IP which is getting created, which is actually not an IP. So there is a lot of work that we can do in making our own data sets, building those models which are relevant to us, which are relevant to India, have them with, you know, with the sovereign AI concept that we have in mind, so that we can use them locally. We can use them for our purpose, our social innovations that we want to do, and solve our problems. And that can happen if we really focus on the data sets creation based on our problems. So that, for me, that's the highest priority.
Thanks. It is a very heavy topic. I think we covered as much as we could in the constraints of our time. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did discussing this topic. Thanks a lot for everyone for sharing your thoughts. Thank you.